Hello, everybody. My name is Maureen Letty. I'm the Director of the Office of Climate Change at the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation. It's my pleasure to welcome you all to this lovely event honoring Glens Falls and the other newly certified climate-smart communities. Speaking on behalf of Commissioner Sagos, who unfortunately couldn't join us here today. The Climate Smart Communities program is an excellent program administered by the DEC, provides grant funding, technical support to communities to take climate action, to show leadership in their communities and around the state around taking positive steps to address greenhouse gas emissions and make actions to provide adaptation and resiliency services to their residents. Things such as reducing waste or encouraging local food production through encouraging farmers markets like the lovely one here in Glens Falls. The program has a recognition component. This is the certified component to demonstrate leadership across the state where communities are taking strong action to address climate change and making an example for other communities to follow. They are advancing locally driven actions to provide a greener, cleaner, more resilient future for their citizens and for the state. And it takes strong partnerships to pull this off. Strong leadership at the local level, like the mayor here and his team. Jeff, they'll speak with you later today. And without these leaders, this stuff couldn't happen. I'm grateful to the city and to all who played a role in helping Glens Falls achieve this great milestone. It's a significant accomplishment for Glens Falls and for the neighboring communities that are also bronze certified, such as Queensbury and Saratoga Springs and the village and town of Lake George. Climate change is a significant issue. Obviously, it's a very pressing issue in our time. We are seeing extreme weather, wildfires out west, devastating hurricanes. We need to take action, and communities are doing so. Governments are doing so. It's an all-hands-on-deck approach that requires contributions from citizens, all levels of government, international leaders. That's why I can't be more than happy to introduce our guest speaker today. With 14 years of experience representing her community at the local level, she is no stranger to the challenges of local government and is uniquely qualified to lead them through it. As a former member of Congress, she is no stranger to the federal government. And as the hardest working lieutenant governor in our state's history, she made a commitment to visit every county, every corner of our state, a promise that she kept. So she's no stranger to Glens Falls or the magnificent North Country of this state. She is certainly no stranger to environmental issues, being a local to Buffalo and all of the Lake Erie and the environmental issues that her region experiences. And as the first woman to serve as governor of the state of New York, she is no stranger to the people of this state. Of course, there's no one else I could be speaking of than our governor, the 57th governor of the state of New York, Kathy Hochul. Please welcome her today.
Thank you, Maureen. And first of all, happy Climate Week, everybody. You still know it's Climate Week, right? Well, I wanted to wrap up our announcements on Climate Week. We announced some really significant initiatives over the last 5 days. I wanted to do that right here in this community. This is a community I've come to know and love. I think you know that since I've been lieutenant governor, I've been here so many times. Everyone's threatening to start charging me property taxes. So I've been here to announce major improvements to our civic center, to talk about our local sports teams, to announce the downtown revitalization initiative, and to now see some of the fruits of that visionary concept that all of you work so hard on to get over the finish line. And I was at the SUNY Adirondack Culinary School, for example, and announcing their great work as well. So I want to thank this community for believing in itself. It makes it easy for us to support your initiatives because these are all driven by leaders like our great mayor, Dan Hall, who's been a tremendous partner of ours. Let's give the mayor a round of applause. And Jeffrey Flagg, you'll be hearing from in a couple minutes. You always need a great director of economic development. I know this from my 18 years as a local government official. It happens because of great people like Jeffrey. So thank you to you and your team, Jeffrey. Let's give him a round of applause as well. Our team at DEC is second to none. I do want to acknowledge our fabulous leader, Basil Sagos, who's can't be with us here today, but he's been running all over the state trying to catch up with me as we make these great announcements. And his chief of staff, Sean Marr, is here. I want to thank Sean. Your team is amazing. And Maureen, thank you for what you're doing as the Director of Office of Climate Change. There was a time when people picture 10 years ago, why do you need an Office of Climate Change? She has to be one of the busiest people in our state trying to fight the ravages of Mother Nature in response to mankind's assault on her for so long. And I feel like it's payback time. She's starting to get even with us for all the things we've done to not honor her, but to actually destroy some of the most beautiful resources, our air and water, and this incredible place in our state that we have to continue to protect. So that's why we're calling on our local governments. This is where the ideas percolate, they come forward, you get the community support, and I've served at all levels, we told you, but there's nothing like being a local government official because you can have a direct impact on the quality of life of your of your community and your friends in the community more than you can any other level of government. So to all the elected officials who'll be recognized, I want to thank you for, first of all, running for office. I know it's not always the easiest thing to do, but I thank you for being willing to put yourself forward to be a true public servant. And you can count on my hand in friendship because I've been in your shoes, I've been in your chairs, and I know what it's like sometimes when you feel like big bad Albany is telling you what to do. Well, this time you've got friends in Albany, and I want to make sure that that's reinforced. Before I get on to this great announcement, I do want to thank this community for making such tremendous progress on getting people vaccinated. There is only one way we are through this pandemic, and that is people getting vaccinated. And you, Warren County is almost 80% fully vaccinated over 18. That's incredible. That's higher than the state average. Your infection rate is 2.6, a little higher than I want, but you're doing pretty good compared to some other areas. And I want to thank you for continuing to be vigilant and encouraging people, our teachers, our healthcare workers, support the ones who are vaccinated too. All those who've already been vaccinated, doing what they know is right to protect the people that are entrusted in their care when they are sick. I want you to make sure you thank them personally from me for making sure that we can continue to deliver quality health care in our state because they have done the right thing by getting vaccinated. But here we're here to celebrate. We're celebrate a milestone, something that you achieved. Glens Falls is now one of 11 newly certified climate smart communities. That's quite a designation. Thank you. Thank you. And as you heard from Maureen, we're trying to give more recognition to the efforts in some communities that are underway already, but also share ideas with the rest of the communities on what they could also be doing to be part of our climate solution. So we're supporting municipalities that are the foremost leaders in reducing emissions and working to transition to clean, renewable energy at the local level. And Glens Falls, you've taken strong steps to go green, reduce pollution, and improve the quality of life. Energy audits for your municipal buildings. I wish we had this when I was a local official. Nobody even thought of this. They didn't realize that how many emissions are discharged from our government buildings that we have control over. This is something that we have a responsibility to take care of and reduce. Greening the municipal fleet, 2 new electric vehicles. This is the future, my friends. We are all going to have electric vehicles by the year 2035. We declared that a couple weeks ago. It's bold. We in California, representing 58 million Americans, are going to make sure that we lead the way, and communities like this that have already started with new electric vehicles for the building and the code departments are part of that story, so thank you. You're also, give them a round of applause. You also are implementing a residential organic waste program, which is fantastic, as well as hosting farmers markets I'm a big fan of farmers markets. If you follow my social media, I hit a couple quite far from here, but I do it for fun, but I also do it to promote our local farmers and to support those that are particularly creating organic produce for us and making sure that we have healthy food for our children and our dinner tables. So thank you to everyone involved in the farmers markets. You're also incorporating green planning and infrastructure in bicycle and walking. I try to ride my bike as often as I can. It's interesting, I ride along the Niagara River in Buffalo sometime early in the morning, and I have a chance to think about how majestic this is and all the beautiful places we have that look so different. Instead of driving by in a car, you actually explore them on foot or on bicycle. We want to do more to encourage that. Also, these electric vehicles aren't going very far if we don't have more electrical vehicles charging stations, right? I mean, there's an anxiety that people say, well, I'll get there, but then I'm going to be stuck. And we announced last year a very bold plan where we'll have charging stations every 75 miles in our state. And we're going to get that done so you never have to worry, as well as developing the technology so you can literally go well over 200 miles on a single charge. We're getting there, my friends, and that is the future, but the future is just around the corner. We're not talking 20, 30 years down the road. You also completed a climate vulnerability assessment. Hope things aren't too vulnerable, Mayor. I'm not sure what you have in that plan, but at least you're prepared. Streetlights. Who thought about streetlights being part of the solution? They can be more efficient through our turnkey streetlight program sponsored by our Power Authority, as well as developing multiple use trails in partnership with Warren County, the towns of Queensbury, Lake George, and the village of Lakeport. All that connection. This is great. And also, you just wonder, why didn't people think of this before? I mean, this makes so much sense, connecting these beautiful communities with trails so people can be outdoors more. And I do believe that's one of the takeaways from the pandemic. People appreciate it, just being outside where they could breathe and take the mask off once in a while. And for the community like this to respond by giving them even better trails and connections to other towns is really forward thinking. I want to commend them. So with this certification, Glens Falls joins an elite list of 81 certified climate smart communities, including Warren County, which was certified last year. So now we have, let's hear it for Warren County too. So since we launched this is exciting to me. We now have 345 climate smart communities across the state, representing 9.4 million New Yorkers. That's how you make a difference, is that critical mass. And all of you who've been part of this, you're inspiring others. I want them to follow your lead in this. And instead of just being nation leading, we want to be global leading. I want people to look at this state and say they're the ones who got it right. We are the birthplace of the environmental movement. We are the place of Love Canal, where I grew up, not that far down the road from Love Canal. You heard Maureen talk about the environment where I grew up in Buffalo. My friends, you could not see a sky like this because it was this cloud of orange smoke that was spewing out of the smokestacks was all we knew. And then the lake, one of the most beautiful freshwater lakes in the world, Lake Erie, one of the Great Lakes. We just watched the pollution be dumped into it literally every single night. And yet we still breathed that air and we swam in that lake. And that's just when I was a child. We've made tremendous progress, but we know we have even more to go. We have to do that. So that's why Glens Falls being named a climate smart community is a huge step in that right direction. And to all of you who love this community, you cherish it, you represent it, I thank you for being so forward thinking and being part of our energy solution. Your children and grandchildren will thank you for what you're doing. And I will as well. Thank you, my friends. And with that, I'd like to bring up our fabulous mayor, Dan Holm.
So the governor comes to Glens Falls a lot. I was expecting her at my garage sale today, but she didn't show up. But she's been phenomenal. She has come here many times. It's nice to see Melissa again. Hi, Melissa. I want to introduce the people from the collaboration that we have with the county. Right now we have the head of the Warren County Board of Supervisors, Rachel Sieber, is here. We have Claudia Bramer, who's here from the 3rd Ward, Peter McDivitt from the 2nd Ward, I believe Dan Bruno from the 4th Ward, and the former mayor, and was very much responsible for starting the ball rolling on this, is Jack Diamond, who's the supervisor from the 1st Ward. I also have from the Common Council, I have from the 3rd Ward, Diana Palmer, and from the 5th Ward, Jim Clark, and the council person at large, Jane Reed, who's in the background. Even though she does a lot, she likes to be in the background a lot. So, also directly next to her is Mark Bean, who's a member of our community who does a lot of things, and also Jim Siplon, who is the head of the Warren County EDC at this point. So I'd also like to introduce the former Commissioner of Housing for New York State, Judy Calogero. Judy is the head of our local IDA and a member of our LDC, and also our local judge, Nikki Mareshi, who is here from Glens Falls. Thank you. So I think you can see that, with just the attendance of these people here today, that they're behind this. And this is something that we've been working on for quite some time. Of course, with any achievement, this Climate Smart Community certification, there are lots of people that are involved in a long and tedious process. But in particular instance, the whole thing really began with Jeff Flagg approached the predecessor and new county supervisor, Jack Diamond, proposed that the city apply for a NYSERDA New York prize grant to examine the feasibility of a microgrid that would potentially energize several critical facilities in the event of a significant power outage. Jeff had a PhD in environmental studies and was teaching at SUNY Adirondack, but he was also on the zoning board and at the time, so Mayor Diamond suggested that Jeff take his proposal to the city's council's special projects committee to see if they wanted to pursue it further. This was back in 2015 or so, somewhere around there. At the time, there was a lot of concern about environmental disasters and community resiliency, especially after Hurricane Sandy, Irene, and Lee all hit New York State at the same season. So Jeff worked with the committee, and they got the grant completed to study, which are still using as a blueprint for future development in the meantime. Though what the process really did was to help the city better understand some of the serious challenges that we face in dealing with climate change and to learn more about some of the opportunities that New York State has created to help communities like ours deal with them. In this case, the Special Projects Committee began to work on several other energy-related actions within the scope of NYSERDA's Clean Energy Communities Program, and in 2017, Glens Falls earned Clean Energy Community designation. This was all right before I was elected mayor. I was the councilman at large at the time, in November of 2017. And one of the first things I did after I took over office was to create a purpose-driven sustainability committee, and consisting of council members Bill Collins, Jim Clark, and Diana Palmer. At that point, the Climate Leadership and Community Protection Act was being debated in the state legislature, and we felt pretty comfortable that it would be passed in some form. As a result, the Sustainability Committee became one of the most active committees on the City Council, spearheading projects such as converting our streetlights to LEDs, the New York Power Authority's turnkey program, the installation of EV charging stations throughout the city, and with the support of the DEC funding, the initiative of a bikeable city plan, and perhaps most importantly, the pursuit of climate smart community certification. And as I say, most importantly, because of the things we realized as we were working through this CSC process, as we had already done quite a few things that led us towards the CSC certification. Things like establishing the farmers market, or developing a heat energy plan, or creating dedicated bike lanes on busy downtown streets. What we had not done was to undertake a wholesale assessment of our greenhouse gas footprint and develop a climate action plan for the future. To accomplish that, the committee succeeded, winning the CSC grant from the DEC in 2018. So I think we were just getting started in making the city a more sustainable community, and I sure appreciate all the support that we've had from the county and from the city council. And with that, I'd like to introduce who is now our economic development director, who was our sustainability consultant, and that would be Jeffrey Flagg, who's really responsible for a lot of these things moving forward. So, Jeffrey.
Thanks, Mayor. I'm going to hold them for you. Here, let me take a look at that. Thank you. First of all, thank you, Mayor, for the kind words. As the mayor mentioned, I was working for a while as a consultant for the city, and was hired, after the untimely death of the previous director of economic development at Bartholomew. I was brought on in February to sort of take on the economic development role. And I think what that did, at least at the city level, was to codify, if you will, the importance and the interconnectedness between economic development and sustainability, which are really not at odds with each other. They are really opposite sides of the same coin. And I think the city has recognized this for a while. If I can take credit, I guess, for anything, it's really maybe leading a thirsty horse to water. right? Because the city has really been very, very, very supportive. I haven't, from Mayor Diamond on down through a couple different councils, not a single proposal made by me or anybody else, as long as it's a reasonable one, has been rejected outright. It's not to say we've done everything. Obviously, there are constraints in various places, but certainly that's been an important parameter, right, within which we work as a city council, a city government, and a community, all of whom are really supportive of the efforts that various individuals and groups are making. So, yeah, yes, it's probably true I deserve a little bit of credit for being the catalyst, but there were so many people involved in helping us reach this milestone. The list includes, as the mayor mentioned, council members Collins, Clark, and Palmer, who were the first members of and existing members of the Sustainability Committee. The members of our CSC task force, especially Ben Lapham, who followed up on the documentation, a lot of the paperwork that had to be done to make this happen. A lot of city staff members, Amy Collins, who I believe is here somewhere, roaming around, Judy Villa-White, Debbie Vaughn, our purchasing agent, the mayor's secretary, Bernadette Gray, all of whom are sort of critical in getting a lot of the administrata done as you're trying to make these things happen. Tara Donadio of the Capital District Regional Planning Commission, who has done a lot of the legwork for us, and her expertise has been enormously helpful in helping us move both through the Clean Energy Communities Program through NYSERDA, and also now, of course, the Climate Smart Communities Program. The staff of the Lake George Lake Champlain Regional Planning Board, especially Chris Belden, who was at the time a planner for the county when they became a Climate Smart community. Also, of course, as the mayor mentioned, Claudia Bramer, a supervisor, who spearheaded a lot of the environmental initiatives at the county level. Folks like Tony DeFazio from Sustainable PR, who's helped us, who's donated his time to help sort of broadcast some of the initiatives that we've taken and the steps that we've taken. One of the places that we tend to fall short in municipal government is, letting people know the things we're doing. And so it's important that you have events like this. It's critical that you have events like this so that people can sort of appreciate the sometimes under the radar things that happen on sort of a daily basis. The business community itself. I see people, Mark Behan, who's here. Jim Siplon from the county EDC, as I think the mayor mentioned. Robin Barkenhagen, I think, who runs or heads the Downtown Business Collaborative. All of whom have sort of worked very hard to make sustainability a core component of the city's sort of civic DNA. All of which is a critical component, especially when you look at the fact that we are essentially a gateway community to the largest nature park in the lower 48 states and one of the most important environmental systems that we have in the world as an experiment. We've also worked, of course, as the mayor mentioned, very closely with the county. We've worked on a lot of regional initiatives, or certainly local initiatives with regional partners like the town of Queensbury, like the town and village of Lake George, like the county itself, all of whom are now climate smart communities as well, some of which as of today. And of course, we've had a lot of help from folks at the state level, from agencies like NYPA, Jessica Waldorf, and Michael Pioggia, who have been helping us with our streetlight conversion. Of course, Dazzle Ekblad and her staff at DEC, who've been sort of helping us walk through this process. They've all played really important roles to this point, and more importantly, I think we'll be leaning heavily on everybody I've just mentioned as we move forward, because we're not done, right? This is not a conclusion process. For better or worse, right, addressing the climate is going to be we're going to be doing it. Everyone here, at least, is going to be working in this in perpetuity, right? There is no end to dealing with this. So, in the end, I think the critical importance of the Climate Smart Community Program is that it provides a template for communities that want to address climate change. It highlights the most impactful measures they can take, and it recognizes and rewards those who make the effort to pursue those actions. So for all those reasons and the others I haven't even thought of, we're proud and grateful to gain some recognition for the efforts that Glens Falls is making. And finally, of course, I want to thank the governor for taking the time out of her busy schedule, which really serves to emphasize the importance that dealing with climate change is going to be doing in the future. Thank you.